This video is about basic comparables. This is not a way to generate leads, but you can do that too. We will have a separate video for generating leads and where to look for them, how to find motivated sellers. And this will cover just what comps are. We will cover what type of comps these are, the use case, and what it is and what it is not. We'll go over Propstream use case and limitations, the intervals and refresh rate. Your goal in doing these comparables, that is really what you're looking for, people who want to do that. Street View, we're going to take a look at Redfin, Zillow, and the difference. Interface over Propstream and what it means. Although it's pretty straightforward, we'll go over them. Just for beginners, if you are an experienced user, you can use this as a reference for people who are going to get into industry. And then getting the estimate. Just doing this to help people out on how to do this. Let's go over to Propstream. So you log into Propstream, buy a Propstream account, and typically have a qualified lead, somebody that you have initially talked to before you do this. And the reason you want to do that is because there are different types of comparables. The comparables are used to gauge a value of a product or commodity or service relative to its peers. It will give you a rough estimate of how much that property or that good or service is. Sometimes when there is a high value object, service or good product, you don't have a clear picture of what it is. And then the best way to get the value of that product is to get a comparable or something that has sold. Why would you want to do a comparable like this is anybody can have an ask price. And we'll go over that in Zillow too as well. Let's say I want to sell my truck. Let's say it's a Ford F-150 and I want to sell it for $1 million. That's an ask price. It's not the sold price. The sold price dictates the actual value of that truck. If you can find trucks of around the same type, highly likely people are not going to buy on your ask price unless there's a very specific use case or context for them to do so. It minimizes your chances of getting a proper sell or a proper seller to sell you their property. This is not the comparable that you use to give you a maximum allowable offer. The use case is this is like a level 2. First, you would want to get for your motivated lists. You skip trace those, you call them. Now, this is a L2. So you've spoken to them, they're willing, they want to do it. You have a pain point, you want to help them out. You do a qualification if this is something that's up your alley or within your budget or within your capability to buy or within your specialization. And that's where you use comparables. I use Propstream a lot. Propstream data is really good. It's very transparent, and I like that you can see almost everything, including mortgages from here. I have an example for you in this case. Propstream use case and limitations. Remember that Propstream is a tool. Don't get lost. Propstream is just one tool for you to get an informed decision on the value of the property. Does that mean that's always right? No. You have to know how to play it by ear as well. Of course, there are limitations on intervals and refresh rate, which are normally not disclosed to you by Propstream. Your goal in doing these comparables is to find out if they are qualified with your standards and they are willing to do it, and of course to verify if what they're saying is correct. Because sometimes, even if you're talking to them, you already know that they're lying sometimes. And most of the time, the reason they are lying to you is because they want to up the value of their property or down the value of their property for whatever reason. That's because you have not gotten into the right tone of conversation with that seller. Remember, your goal is to work with them to handle and facilitate this sale. A valuable sale happens only if there's a good benefit for the buyer and the seller. You have to make sure you're in between them and you're liaising properly for them, that they understand. And that's the goal of what you want to do. You're not going to force them to buy something or sell something that they don't want to. We'll go over Street View. That's one of the things that I will look at, and sometimes Zillow. And Zillow is trading right now at 139, 140. Oh, no. Zillow is trading at 133 right now. Where's my Zillow? Okay, Zillow. So here's Zillow. Just go to Zillow.com and you will see that for Zillow, you can get an estimate here, right? Look at this. So this property is my target property. Let's say I spoke to them. 1232 East Willow Street, Anaheim, California, 92805. It says 724402. So should I just use this number and call it a day? No, you don't. This is an automatically generated estimated value because this property is not listed. It is not publicly sold, and this person has not even mentioned their intent. If it's already listed, then you're probably a little bit late. That's why you want to look at Propstream, because you've spoken to them and they say, oh, yes, I'm interested, but it's not listed. You want to help them sell them by saving them listing fees and giving yourself a little bit of money for change. Why you should never use this is simply because of that. Value of the property is not exactly that. If you look at this same property here, let's look at this property. The value is actually below that. And this actually confuses buyers because this is an estimated ask price. It is not an estimated sell price, neither is it based on the nearby comparables. The value between what's on Zillow and Redfin and here are a lot different. You can use these if you want to give them an idea of how much the property should be worth around market. Even the lowest value here is not exactly what is showing here. That's 688 and this is 690. So that's like the lower margin. You can see the price of this property eventually. You go to Propstream. The purpose of us going into Propstream is just to take a look at this property and look for potential comparables to get an actual estimate of how much this property is. What we want to do is to try to check what type of residence this is. This is single family. It's a 1955 property. Would that have a lead problem? 32 square feet. Square footage is 1900. Okay, let's take a look at this. Over this property, you would see that this is an individual single family residence. It's off market. It means it's not listed. It's not distressed. It's not on short sale, which it has like a very, very low mortgage. You can pay that off really easily. Occupancy, who's occupying it? It seems like the owner. Length of ownership is not stated, so probably they are the first owners of this property. Lot size, year built, APN number, Orange County. Okay, who are the owners? Rooms, bed, bath, full bathrooms, fireplaces, central aircon, heating, stucco. This just gives some details of the property. Usually you would not use the information here. The main things that you would want to look here are the rents, mortgage, comparables, and nearby listings. If you go to comparables and nearby listings, you have to take a look at all of this. So what is this data set? If it's a publicly disclosed state, you can select this or this, but it depends on which state you're operating in. This one's in California, so just for fun, let's just select both. You can see that if you select both, there are two entries of the same address, like this one in 1237 East Santa Ana Street. If you take a look at this property, this is the inside of the property. If we go back, it is exactly the same property. And why is that? It's because it is the same property, it's just one record on the data set and one is public record sold. Remember, when you're doing comparables, you have to select only one and you have to select the better basis for that. Before that, we have to look at this, the sale situation London. If this was a cash sale, look at this. You don't want to compare apples to oranges. If you want a cash comparable, then use a cash comparable. Don't use a foreclosure bank, non-construction, new construction, or interfamily, because they would skew your data, your estimate. Date range, you use this to see if there's anything sold. Normally, you would want to limit to the last 6 months. Square footage, if you can't find anything about that property, you can expand your search by including properties with smaller or bigger square footage. You can increase the number of miles you're looking out from here. Min Bedrooms and bath are very important. That's because sometimes you can't get a comparable for this one. Let's say it's 3-2 and nothing shows up. You can change your beds to 2-4 or 1-5 if you're that desperate and you don't have any estimate. Bathrooms as well. Sometimes there is no 3-2, there's just 3-1. That would give you an idea of what a minimum and maximum estimate you would have for that property. Because sometimes you have a property that doesn't have like the same number of rooms, beds, and baths, but you still have to come up with an estimate of how much this property is. Sold if something that sold, something that failed, pending status, etc. You would also want to limit it to residential, comparing it only to properties of the same type of property class and property type single family. So you want to limit it to something like this. I usually just tick both and just make sure that I don't tick, because whatever you tick here, it will change the value here. Let's say 395. Look, it changed. Bond. Okay, that's not duplicate. Bond Street 544. Okay, 104, just one of these. MLS sold better. Oak Street. when selecting the properties that you're going to use for comparables, make sure they're within the same perimeter, same subdivision, same gated community. Why is that? Because the value of a property is really inherent to what's in that area. Let's take a look here. You would want to avoid rivers, bodies of water, freeways, big highways. That usually is not a good sign if it's something across, let's say, especially if there's a freeway. There's an example. Okay, something across, let's say your property's here, target property is here, and then you're comparing it to something here. It's probably not a good idea. Just based off of this, I think the best estimates are 1 and 3. Generally, you would want to select just 2 or 3 comparables just to keep the ball rolling. Let's select 2 and 3. 1 and 2 are actually the same one, so that's why you don't see 2 here. You have 2 target properties. What you would want to do is go to Street View. You'd want to check this property. Okay, of course, you want to check inside, but you want to check outside first. And the reason is you want to check if they have the same structure. Okay, let's look at that. All right, what does that look like? Do they look like the same? Okay, garage, door. Yeah, looks like the same. Look at the other one. 511 South Bond. Let's look at that. Yeah, typically the same. I see some fences difference. This one's obviously pretty nice. And then you would want to take a look inside. We took a look at this one. Let's take a look at this one. Obviously, these are retail purchases. They're not dilapidated or anything like that. So that's protruding. I don't like that. Okay, all white. Wooden floors. Old design. That's pretty modern, I think. Okay. Are you including the guitars? Probably not. Okay. Right. Pretty retail. Yeah, this one's pretty retail. Basically, what you're looking for is, are they the same outside? Like, you don't want to compare a 2-floor single-family residential to a 1-floor or something with a pool that's not. And then you would want to take a look at Google Street View sometimes. You would want to take a look at the map. Just looking at the map sometimes will give you an idea if there's a pool or something along the lines that, yeah, I'm going to close Google Earth because it's really stuck. Take a satellite view. It will give you an idea if they are typically the same. If they're usually like the L, right, the typical house, Elm Street, Willow Street, this one. L, looks like they're the same. So let's say these are your properties. You'd want to check here on the right side if they are, you have to scroll here on the right. These scroll bars are not like user friendly. 3242. You know that this price is on the upper end. Square footage, 1.8. These are smaller. Lot size, 1537, 1713, 6,000. Okay, this one's bigger. You can see that from the map though. Square footage. Let's assume that they have the same beds and baths. This one is, look, they're in the different subdivision. This one's a bit off. Cash sale, parcel. Nothing significant here. Then you would use this. You would have a 450, 448.60 price per square foot, and you would multiply that with your square footage, not the lot size, 1869. So this is what you're looking at as a comparable price. Just an example. Probably there is some profit to be made with this property. Also, this one is almost free and clear. So you can use, they can finance your buy of this property. You can check the tax information here, the amount of taxes, if they own other properties. Let's look at the other one. I like it. I like the back balcony. This place looks hot though. Like the plants seem to be dying here. Inside's really good though. Really spacious. Chandeliers. Yep. Ooh, middle kitchen. I like that. This is nice. You can wash the dishes while talking to someone. And then you would want to take a look at mortgage and transaction history. Take a look at this a lot. You would want to take a look here. When's the loan due date? Normally it's like a 30-year loan. The loan balance, when it was started, who it was with, and who is the buyer, and so on. You can also take a look at these reports. You have to buy some of these if you want to. Again, that's really up to you. Typically, that's how I would take an estimate of the property. in a nutshell, you would want to take a look at the property, limit your search or expand it based on your need. If there's no exact search, you would want to, lower or and increase your maximum size to expand your search. But that number that you're going to arrive with would be the minimum or the maximum of that property. So let's say this is a 3-2, you can't search for anything, but there was a 4-5. Your price cannot exceed that on a price per square footage example, unless like it's very, very different. You typically want to take a look at the map and the bones a lot of the property, because just looking outside can tell you if it's beside the lake or something nearby like a school or something like that. So that's typically how I would do my comparable. I hope you find this useful, like a new VA that you're hiring. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. All right, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.